I gained 23 pounds of muscle working 50 hours a week, and I've trained other people to get similar results. And almost every guy I've helped build muscle has made this one mistake that I'm going to tell you about. The mistake is spending way too much time in the gym hoping to build some muscle. Most busy people, like college students or people who have full-time jobs, make this mistake because the fitness industry has led them to believe that the more time that they spend in the gym, the more results they're going to get from the gym. But that is a misconception, which is why a lot of busy people are spending hours in the gym, but they're still not building any muscle. And this misconception costs them pretty heavily because time that they're spending in the gym is time that they're spending away from family, away from friends, or away from studying. And so when you sacrifice these three things, which are pretty important in life, you'd expect to get some results, but you don't. But what if I told you that you could spend less time in the gym and build more muscle? Like Daniel, for example. Daniel was working 40 hours a week, and on top of that, he was spending 12 hours per week in the gym. But guess what? He still couldn't build any muscle. So he decided to join my online training program, after which he reduced his gym time from 12 hours to 7 hours per week, and he gained 11 pounds of muscle in 90 days. So instead of me beating around the bush, I'm going to give you the 3 things I implemented for Daniel to reduce his gym time and help him build more muscle. So the first thing I had to fix for Daniel was the way he was programming his workouts. So he was going to the gym 6 days a week, but he didn't really have a strategy. Now don't get me wrong, consistency is extremely important. If you don't have that, then you're just not going to see any serious results from the gym. But once you have consistency down, the next thing you've got to do immediately is get a strategy figured out for what you're going to do in the gym. Because imagine this, you're trying to take a road trip from Austin all the way to Houston. We're going to use those 2 cities because I'm in Texas. So say you're trying to go from Austin to Houston, right? You've got to get into the car, otherwise you're not going anywhere. But once you get into the car, you've got to have a plan for which roads you're going to take, where you're going to turn, where you're going to have to take detours because there's accidents. And if you don't have a GPS guiding you on all of that stuff, then instead of going from Austin to Houston, you might go from Austin to Dallas or even Austin to New Mexico. The same way, if you're just going to the gym every day and cranking out a bunch of sets on a bunch of random exercises, you can't expect to gain muscle because you have no strategy. You're just driving mindlessly on a road that may or may not lead to your destination. So to fix this, we've got to adopt a good workout routine. So there's 2 things every good workout routine has. The first thing being that the workout routine is simple. So if your workout routine has exercises like the flying lateral raise or the jumping overhead press, honestly, I don't even blame you for picking those stupid exercises because you probably saw your favorite influencer doing them and you thought, oh yeah, that's what got him so big and muscular. It's definitely not the steroids. I'm not even going to get into everything that's wrong with the fitness industry right now. But if you're doing a bunch of fancy exercises, then I've got news for you. You're not going to make any progress. What you want to do is pick simple but tried and tested compound movements that you can progress on over time. Movements like the lat pull down, the bench press, the barbell back squat. These movements are going to ensure that you're training all of the muscles in your body in as little time as possible. Because when you're doing the lat pull down, it's not just your lats that are working, it's also your forearms and your biceps. When you're doing the bench press, it's not just your chest that's working, it's also your shoulders and your triceps. So what happens is you do one exercise, but you end up training multiple muscle groups, which is why I'm such a big fan of compound movements for every single client that I train and for myself. The second thing that makes a good workout routine is that the workout routine is consistent. So if you train chest this Monday, then next Monday you train chest again instead of legs. And if you miss a workout, you miss a workout. You don't try to make up for it on a rest day or on the day of any other workout. So for example, and I'm just using this for example's sake, don't go adopting this as a program. Say that a workout program has you doing chest on Monday, back on Wednesday, and legs on Friday. And for some reason whatsoever, something came up in your life, you missed chest day on Monday. Do not go into the gym on Wednesday and try to hit chest. You missed chest, that's fine, life happened, get over it, just move on, right? Don't come in on Wednesday when you're supposed to be training back and train chest. That's not how programming works. Think back to when you were in high school. Say you missed school on Monday and you came back in on Tuesday, right? You wouldn't skip out on doing Tuesday's work just because you're busy doing Monday's work, because that way you're going to be caught up in catching up on missed workouts for the rest of your life. Now, one of the most commonly asked questions when it comes to workout programming is, how often should I work out? Believe it or not, how often you work out isn't actually that important. As long as you're training every muscle group at least twice per week, workout frequency is largely irrelevant, right? You could get away, and yes, this may sound surprising, but that means that you can get away with as little as 2 workouts a week if those 2 workouts are efficient, right? But for the clients that I train, I generally don't recommend anything beyond 4 days a week, because that can be grueling, it can be unsustainable, and also it can take away a lot of time from you, which is pretty much the opposite of what this channel is created for. Now, just before I show you why it's so important that you train harder, I've got to show you why you've got to fix your form, because that is the second thing that I did for Daniel to help him spend less time in the gym and build more muscle. So at this point, we've got our programming figured out. We know what exercises we're going to do in the gym, and we know how often we're going to go in the gym, right? Once we've got that figured out, we've got to figure out how we're going to do the exercises that we're going to do. Because if you watch this clip of these 2 twins doing bicep curls, I think it's pretty clear who's going to build more muscle. The reason that maintaining good form is so difficult isn't because maintaining good form is actually like this complex thing. No, it's because our egos get in the way. And this is not something I'm just saying on the internet, yeah, like don't have an ego. I'm very guilty of this myself. If you look at old clips of me doing weighted chin-ups, I'm only doing like 75% of the exercise. I'm not going all the way down like I'm supposed to. Because if I went all the way down on weighted chin-ups, then I would have to reduce the weight that I was using, and that would have not been good for my ego. But are you in the gym to grow your ego, or are you in the gym to grow your muscles? A phrase that I say to my clients, or even to myself before I do an exercise, is, it's not about the weight on the bar, it's about the weight on the muscle. Because if your form on an exercise sucks, then you might have to do 6 sets of it to get the same results as the guy doing 3 sets with good form. Now that's going to take you double the time. So it makes sense to just fix your form and spend less time in the gym and get great results anyways. Now, of course, different exercises have different forms, but as a general rule of thumb, I would say to always let the weight go slowly when the muscle is being stretched. Let's go back to the example of the guy with terrible curling form. If he doesn't stop swinging and he doesn't stop just using a bunch of momentum to get the weight up, which he should stop doing that because that's not good, he could still build muscle if he just let the weight go down slowly. Ideally, he doesn't swing and he lets it go down slowly, but if not both, then at least one. This is because bringing the weight up is only half the battle, and letting it go down slowly and under control is almost like doing another rep. So reduce the weight if you have to and let your ego take a hit, and try to make your form as close to perfect as humanly possible. I promise you, you're going to feel the difference almost immediately, and if you do it consistently over a long enough period of time, then you're going to see the difference in your physique. Hey, if you want to skip out on the trial and error of implementing everything that I'm telling you about, then you can click the link below, join my online training program, and I'll implement everything for you. If you join today, you can start completely for free and get access to everything that Daniel had and more. If that sounds interesting, you can click the link in the description and I'll see you in there. Now, the third thing that I did for Daniel is that I got him to train harder. Now, unfortunately, people think that the more time you spend in the gym, the harder you train. But again, it's a misconception and it couldn't be further from the truth. Now, to prove my point, let's watch this guy doing bicep curls for 4 sets. I'm going to fast forward to his last 2 reps. Now let's watch this guy do bicep curls for 2 sets. Again, I'm going to fast forward to his last 2 reps. Now let's compare their last reps side by side. Who do you think is training harder? The guy who's doing 4 sets or the guy who's doing 2 sets? The guy doing 2 sets, right? Because the guy doing 4 sets could have probably done 6 more reps after his quote, last rep. But the guy doing 2 sets probably couldn't do another rep if he had a gun to his head. And so the guy who did 4 sets left 6, maybe even 7 reps in the tank, and the guy who did 2 sets left 0 reps in the tank, which is why he can build muscle spending half the time that this guy spends in the gym. So when I first started training Daniel, he used to be like the guy doing 4 sets. He always left way too many reps in the tank and just stopped the set when he felt like he had a pump. And the problem with that approach is when you don't push your muscles close enough to failure, they do not grow. Because growing muscle is your body's way of defending itself, right? Say you do a really hard workout and your muscles feel like they're about to be torn apart. Well, then the next time that you do that workout, your muscles are going to be bigger and stronger because they literally do not want to be torn apart, obviously, right? It's the body's defense mechanism. So then if you want muscle growth to occur, you have to pretty much force it, right? And one of the other things I want to say, just as a quick side note, you need to start measuring how hard you train in terms of how many reps you leave in the tank instead of, oh yeah, I trained for 2 hours today or for 3 hours today. Because honestly, I build more muscle now training for like 4 days a week than I did before when I used to train 6 days a week. And I train for way shorter times too now. But the short of the long is, when you feel a burning sensation in your muscles, that's not your sign to stop. It's your sign to do another rep. Now, if you want to learn more about how I helped Daniel gain muscle, then you can watch this video. That's all. I'll see you in the next one.